Hi, I'm strength and conditioning specialist Mike Mejia, and welcome to the fifth installment of my series on ACL injury prevention. Now, so far in this series, we've shown you the proper way to warm up before physical activity, as well as some effective strengthening exercises that you can do both inside and outside of the gym. This time around, though, we're going to take a little bit of a different focus, and we're going to examine what I feel at least to be one of the most overlooked aspects when it comes to ACL injury prevention, and that's recovery and regeneration. So in this brief video, I'm going to show you some great drills using the foam roller, as well as some really effective stretches that you can do to help restore your body to balance, and best of all, reduce your likelihood of ever suffering an ACL injury. So let's go ahead and take a look at those drills right now. Our first static stretch is called the three-way hamstring stretch. Now for this one, you're either going to need a rubber resistance band like the one we have here, or a large towel or rope. Begin by looping your foot into the band and pulling the leg back until you feel a stretch in the hamstring. If you'll notice, the toes are neutral here. After about 30 seconds in this position, the athlete will then rotate the foot out to the side slightly, rotating from the hip to get the outer fibers of that hamstring. After a 30-second hold there, she'll then turn the toes in to get the muscles more on the medial part of the hamstring or the inside going into the inner thigh. And remember to hold each position for 30 seconds. Next up, we're going to be targeting the glutes. Here you see the athlete lying on the ground goes into a figure 4 position and then grabs the hamstring of the opposite leg from behind by reaching through the legs and around. She then pulls back until she gets the tailbone slightly off the ground, stretching the glutes on the right side. After holding that for 30 seconds, she then sets up the same way and stretches the opposite side. And that's the glute stretch. Here's a great stretch to help you open up tight hip flexors and quads. Beginning in a high kneeling position, bring one foot around in front of you, and then gently pull your heel towards your butt on the back leg. From that position, keep your abs engaged as you lean in onto the front leg, stretching the hip flexor and the quad. Here are a couple of great stretches that you can use to target the groin area, which when tight can be a major contributor to ACL injuries. Now here the athlete begins in a seated position and brings the soles of the feet together, sitting up straight and tall, and then gently presses down on the knees. This is targeting the short adductors, which tie right up into that groin area. After holding that position for at least 30 seconds, she then straightens the knees, puts the legs out to the side with the toes pointed up. Now she elevates the torso and gently presses back from behind so she's folding over at the waist, not just allowing the back to round. I want to try to keep the knees as straight as possible here, and these will target the inner thighs as they go down right into that knee area. Next, we're going to target an area on the outside of the leg known as the ITB, or the iliotibial band. For this one, begin in a standing position and cross one leg in front of the other. You're then going to slightly rotate to one side, keeping the back leg straight, and then reach down into a stretch. Here you'll see we'll set up on the other side. She'll cross that right leg in front of the left, rotate to the right, and now we're getting a deep stretch on the side of the left leg from the hip right down into that knee area. We also want to make sure that we include the muscles on the lower leg as well, and here are a couple of great stretches that will help you do that. For the first, begin by placing the ball of foot up as high onto a wall as you can, making sure that the heel is in contact with the ground. From there, you can gently just press your hips forward to get a little more pressure into the stretch. Here you'll see we'll sit up on the opposite side. How far you get up on the wall is going to really depend on ankle mobility as well. So make sure that you're not overstretching this area. And that's the first of the wall calf stretches. Now for the next stretch, we're going to set up a little bit further away from the wall. The athlete puts her arms up on the wall and adopts more of a lunge position. Now here, she's going to lunge into that lead leg, making sure that back leg is straight with the heel in firm contact with the ground. Now this will get a nice deep stretch into the calf. We're going to make one more subtle change here after holding this position for about 30 seconds and then slightly bend the knee. And that's going to get us a little bit deeper into a muscle group known as the soleus. And you're going to want to make sure to do both of these types of stretches to help free up range of motion in that ankle and keep those calves nice and flexible. And that's the wall calf stretch series. Moving into the foam roller drills, the first area we're going to target is the ITD. Begin by placing the meaty part of your hip pocket on top of a foam roller with your hips, knees, and shoulders stacked. From there, use both arms and your top leg to help control your body weight as you gently and slowly roll across the foam roller. Now this may be a little bit uncomfortable at first and will take some getting used to. You're going to do about 5 to 6 repetitions of this per side. Now once you get a little bit better and need a little more intensity, you can stack the legs here. Now this is going to be slightly more uncomfortable, so make sure that you work your way up to this. And now we're really getting deep into those muscle fibers, helping to break up any knots, adhesions, and scar tissue that may have developed. And that's the foam roller to help loosen up a tight IT band. Next, we're going into the hip flexors. Now this one is a little tricky in terms of positioning. You're going to place that same meaty part of the hip pocket down on the roller, and you're going to let your opposite hip kind of hang off. You can place that opposite knee on the ground. Now here, we're going over the top of the thigh and that meaty part of the hip, but then we're actually crossing over the waistband of the pants, and we're letting the foam roller get deep underneath into the side of the abdominal area, trying to get into those deep fibers of the hip flexor. Back and forth on this one, be very careful. It tends to be a little bit uncomfortable. And again, 5 to 6 reps per side, and that's the foam roll for the hip flexors. Next, we'll move into the quads. Those are those big muscles on the front of the thigh that female athletes tend to overuse quite a bit. For this one, you're going to position your legs on top of the foam roller right around the hip area, and then you're simply going to roll down towards the knee. Now, if you need a little more intensity, you can stack one leg over the other and lean more on one side, as you're about to see here. What she's doing here is stacking that left leg on top of the right and leaning a little bit more heavily on the right side. That will allow you to get a little deeper into those quad fibers, and that's the quadricep foam roll. Next, we're going to target the glutes. Begin by sitting on the foam roller with your hands behind you, and then cross one leg over the other into a figure 4 position. Rotate your hips slightly to the side of the leg that's up, and then you're rolling a very small area here, basically from the sit bones right up to the top of the waistband of your pants. Tends to be an area that's a little tight, so go slow with this one. And again, 5 to 6 repetitions, and you'll want to remember to do both sides. And that's the glute foam roll. Here you see we're positioned a little bit differently to go after the hamstrings. Now for this one, you're going to have a strong upper body, as you're going to be supporting your weight back there. And you're going to roll basically from those sit bones once again, right to the area just above behind the knee. Here we're getting in nice and deep into those hamstring fibers, and if you need a little bit more intensity, you can always stack one foot over on top of the other and get a little bit more onto one side. And that's the foam roll for the hamstrings. Here's another one that you'll want to go easy with, as it does tend to be a little tender, and that's the adductor foam roll. For this one, begin in a sort of plank position with the leg that you're going after bent up 90 degrees. From there, you're going to roll from the area right near that groin and come down just inside of that knee. Take your time, give it as much weight as you can by bracing up onto the forearms and the ball of the back foot. And that's the foam roll for the adductors. Here we're going after the calves. Now this is similar to the hamstring roll, except for the fact that the roller is positioned down a little further. Once again, some upper body strength will be required here, and you're rolling from that area right below that knee all the way down until just before you get on top of the Achilles tendon. And again, an area that tends to be tight, and if you need a little bit more intensity, feel free to stack one leg over the other and lean a little bit more onto that side. And that's the foam roll for the calves. Our final foam roll is going to be for an area known as the perineal muscles. And these run on the front side near the shin of the lower leg. And here, it's very similar to the ITB roll, except for the fact that the roller is going to be down lower between the knee and the ankle joint.
Okay, so hopefully you picked up some great tips there on ways that you can best help your body to recover from all the intensive practicing, playing, and training that you're doing. Just remember, as effective as these drills may be, just doing them once in a while isn't going to cut it. You're going to have to make sure to be diligent about this stuff and do it on a regular basis. And it's fine to static stretch and roll 5, 6, even 7 days a week. That does it for this time. Don't forget to be on the lookout for the last installment of this series, where we'll cover some change of direction mechanics and other things that you can do out on the field to reduce your likelihood for incurring an ACL injury. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop me an email at mike@basesportsconditioning.com. I'll see you next time.